So if you were in last week, we looked at just some basic side control escapes. Today we're going to look at what I would consider basic sweeps from underneath the side control position. This first one certainly isn't high percentage against anyone higher than about 2-stripe white belt, but it is worth having in the locker. So you get that new white belt in the class, they've found the side control, or maybe you've just, you're the higher rank and you've let them get to this position and then they go all like beast mode on you and start like hugging and crushing, and then it's difficult to get out anyway, right? So, but what a beginner tends to do is they tend to clasp those hands, pull in tight, and they react to everything you do. So like if I push this way, like he pushes back to try and regain the space. So we're going to put this hand in just as a normal frame, elbow underneath the hip. Remember we talked about last week about not putting this frame all the way through and putting your hand onto the hip, because if my partner decides to drop his hip now, then we can sometimes end up getting a bit wrist locked. Also, this frame is going to be stronger too, where I just put the elbow into the hip, more difficult for him to close that space in, whereas if I put the end of my lever onto his hip and he drops again into that, then it's a lot harder for me to maintain that space. So elbow goes in. For this one, we're going to put the hand on the side of the neck and we're going to just start to bridge in towards my partner. So as I bridge in, like I said, this beginner, he reacts, so he starts coming back at me. When he starts coming back at me, we go with that momentum, drop the hips and then re-lift and use this elbow in the hip to roll my partner up over the top and reverse the position. I mean, you can see how that wouldn't really work against higher guys because their reaction's different, they flow different. When I try to throw him over the top, Rich is just going to base his hand out and stop that from happening. So we put the frame in, bicep onto the side of the neck, we're going to drive in towards our partner and make sure we get that reaction. So as he reacts and comes back, nice big bridge and through into top side control ourselves, okay? So we can just like do that individually, or you could just keep bridging, rolling and just taking turns with your partner. All right, first one guys, 1, 2, 3. Next one, we're gonna go, I mean, I don't even really know what this one's called. I've seen it on YouTube called Mission Impossible. Maybe we'll just call it that. So we're basically going to go in the opposite direction. So we're going to bridge the same. We're going to go in towards our partner, but instead of trying to reverse and go back this way, all I'm literally going to do is just try to take away his base from his leg. So when I'm ready to go, I'm going to take this arm and drive into the neck the same way, but this arm is going to come down and I'm just going to block his knee. So use your elbow, bring it down, block his knee in. You can even use your hand to make sure that his foot stays in as well. And then we're going to just do a nice big bridge in. Because he doesn't have any base, we're going to jump and roll over the top to the far side. So if we reverse, so again, we're just going to use the elbow, just block. Block, if you want to, extra security to make sure he doesn't flare the leg as we try to do the sweep. Just blocking at the ankle, driving in with the bicep, hopping, and just using the momentum to roll over the top. So one more time, block the foot if you want, drive in, big spring off the legs, and then just ride the partner's body over to the top. Okay, so literally we're just going opposite direction to what we did last time, but using the same basic principles, making sure that he's got no base and hit where the base isn't. 1, 2, 3. So similar position here. What I'm going to try to do though, like we discussed a little bit last week, this crossface is a real problem. And both underhook and crossface are a real problem for me. But this is keeping me facing in this direction. So if I want to be starting, I'm like pushing towards my partner this way, I've got to do something about this crossface. To create, if you can just take the hand, put it into the bicep and pull it apart, then great. If you're finding it difficult, place your hand onto the shoulder and just start to like push, just so you create enough space for the hands to wrap around the bicep, and then we're going to tuck the elbow underneath my partner's ribs. Once I've got the elbow on underneath, I'm going to take this hand across and I'm going to reach onto the belt. Obviously one small concern here is I've got to be watching out for the arm triangle. Make sure that you keep a good pressure with your tricep, get a good grip on the belt and keep your arm nice and tight to the body so that he can't like start pushing that across too much. Once I've got these in place, either I'm going to be proactive and look for the sweep, or I'm going to make him make it more easy for me to hit the sweep. So for example, I need to come a little bit more parallel with my partner. So I can move my feet around, so I take my head closer towards his hips, Then I use this grip on the belt to pull down, and I use this elbow to bridge and roll up to the far side. So not only do I get into this nice, good side control position, I've also got this arm to start attacking as well. So again, if we need to, place the hand onto the shoulder, push, create a little bit of space, just to take the bicep off of the neck. Tuck the elbow underneath because this is going to help to lift him over. My arm's going to come over, heavy tricep, grip the belt, and then nice heavy arm on the head. Maybe this time I'm trying to go and he's not letting it. Or I'm trying to bring my knee in to try to like make him move in the direction that I need him to. So I try to pull the knee in, be annoyance with that. He starts to move away from the knee, and as he moves around, that's when we're going to bridge over and through to the top. So one more time. So again, I want to get that cross face away, elbow goes in underneath, reach through, grab the belt, tight tricep to the back of the head, bring the knee in, he starts to move himself around, and as he does, we lift the elbow up, keep this all in nice and tight, bridge through, and then maybe if we want to stick something onto the end, we can as well. All right, harpoon sweep from underneath side control. 1, 2, 3. For the last one that we're going to try here, just something a little bit different. It's not too dissimilar from the second one that we did, where we're going to try to take them in this direction. But we're going to look to combine a couple of things. Because obviously if we try to do this one and it goes wrong, then we just end up in side control. Again, with this one, we're going to try to combine if my partner reacts to the first part. So what I'm going to try to do is take my foot, would normally be like the knee in, foot here, and we're going to reach and we're going to try to hook this leg. But as you can see, like when he's in this normal side control position, sometimes difficult to hook that leg. So we're going to just change our angle slightly. So I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to push into my partner's hip, and instead of shrimping away like I normally would do, I'm going to shrimp my hips towards my partner. Nice frame on the hip to keep him back away. Then I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to reach in. You see how much more leverage I get with this foot now to hook onto that leg. Then I'm going to just start to center up my hips and I'm going to take that leg with me. Just torque the knee a little bit. Now if he stays in this central position with his hips flat, then I can go back to a similar one that we did earlier, in that we keep that leg hooked, we're going to trap onto the knee, trap onto the arm, bridge, and roll up over the top. If you guys regularly roll with Paris, you've probably been caught with that one quite a bit. But what will often happen from the better jiu-jitsu guys is we'll do the shrimp, we're going to try to find the leg, and then he'll switch his hips to go to the knee cut. Now if we've still got these frames in position, as he knee cuts and tries to come through, what I'm going to do is keep those frames in, shrimp my hips out, pull myself up to this top position. So it's about using what they give us basically. If he doesn't move from when we've trapped the leg, so we frame, shrimp, hook the leg. If we come back to the central position and he's still central, come on. Actually, another way, if you don't want to commit both arms to the same side, you can even just hang on to this arm here to make sure he can't base out. Block the knee, big bridge, and roll over to the top. Or I collect the leg, and then as he starts to switch, comes through. See, he switches, all he's going to do here is switch and recenter himself. There. As he's starting to switch, move the hips out. So his hips drop to the floor. Keep the frames in position, start shrimping. We'll come up to the top for the finish. Okay? So start with the leg hook. Try that sweep a couple of times and then have your partner switch for the knee cut to loosen up the leg, and when they do, hip out, come to the top. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, let's go.